Welcome back to the Human Disturbance Concert Weekend podcast mini-series presented by CKDC because we were scheduled to have Human Disturbance Spring Concert live in the theater this weekend. Today would have been, well, a little bit more till call time for our 2 p.m. show. We would have still Sunday morning, but we would have had our final show, and that is to be determined as far as, showing that at a future date and sharing that. So we're looking forward to being able to do that in the future. But for now, we are bringing you these conversations with different folks in the company. So today I'm here with perhaps a familiar face, with Arica Brown, Arica AC. Here we are. Oh, also introduce myself. I'm Arica EK. EK because that's how you spell my name. Arica and I are wearing matching Blue Zone shirts today from our
plans.
Nope. Yeah, from our October 2019 concert. So yeah, we're here just chatting with Arica about Human Disturbance, about CKDC, about dance and movement, and what that looks like in these times. So let's just jump right in. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Arica AC. I'm the founder, artistic, and executive director of Kinetics Dance Company, and she, her pronouns. And I was going to be dancing in Human Disturbance, so I was really excited about that. I don't dance in our concerts often.
Yeah.
And that's who I am. And this is Josephine.
Hi, Josephine. Yeah. What do you like to do outside of dance?
So many things, actually. I like to stay active in a variety of ways. And most recently, I've been doing soccer and running, which are not my norms for cross-training, but just getting creative because all I really have access to is Forest Park, which I'm grateful for, like very grateful that I can still go to Forest Park. Sometimes a little concerned to see how many people are gathering there that look like they're not from the same household, perhaps. But it is really great to be able to get out in nature. I love traveling, hiking, reading, coloring, learning French, usually rock climbing. And I've been wanting to roller skate or rollerblade. And we often skateboard. A lot of the artists in the company and I get together, and we don't do a lot of crazy tricks, not most of us anyway. We just like to cruise on our penny boards or our long boards, and basically just love all things active. I love my cats. Lydia's not pictured here. And I love movies. So that's what I do outside of dance.
Lots of interests and activities. Yeah, definitely active life. So can you tell us a little bit about your relationship to Human Disturbance, the concert? And maybe, you can even talk about what your relationship is to the production of a concert.
Yeah. So I share artistic director responsibilities with Ashriel McDowell, who's our assistant executive and artistic director. And right around the time that we ceased, rehearsals would have been when she and I would have started to go to the different rehearsals and help develop the works and get them ready for the stage. So that's definitely one of our favorite parts of the job. And it's a bummer that we didn't have that experience with this body of work, but we will in the future. We will take the stage with Human Disturbance someday, but sadly not with the original cast because some of our artists were grad students, they're graduating, they're moving, and a variety of different things that we have to consider, like people's schedules changing. But so artistic director is usually my primary role. Executive director, I'm the person behind managing and raising the funds for any given program here. And concerts are always a special interest because so many artists are involved. It requires a lot more fundraising than our regular programming. And like I mentioned earlier, I was actually going to dance in this concert, which doesn't happen often. Sometimes I make a theatrical appearance on stage. I often present the concerts alongside of my board of directors, and Ashriel sometimes joins as well. But I think I was most excited to be dancing, and I felt ready for it. It's something that I'm not super comfortable with, but I also like to put myself in uncomfortable situations. I think that's wise, and it helps keep us growing and learning about ourselves and the environment. So I was really excited to take that huge risk.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I was choreographing. I was also a
Duh.
choreographer. Yeah,
I didn't even
duh.
catch that. Of course you were. Yeah, everyone. I've talked to several people who were part of your cast, and everyone's been like, "Yeah, and I've been in Erica's piece." And yeah, what was
I was
that like?
especially in love with this piece. Like,
Mm.
I remember talking to Jane, one of our artists, and Kat a lot, and they kind of helped me like form what my piece would be about. Because I was like, well, I really want to do something about like plastic in the ocean, but I also really want to do something about like chemicals that we put on our skin that we don't realize are polluting. And then I really want to do something about like meat production and like how that pollutes the atmosphere. And I think it was Jane who was like, well, Erica, it sounds to me like you really are just taking a look at how different things are pollutants in a variety of different ways. And I was like, you're right. This is the same thing. I can do it all. Like, so I had planned a piece with three movements to tackle those three, takes of
Yeah.
pollution.
Yeah, that's awesome that you talked to Kat and Jane, because sometimes it's helpful to have that like third perspective to help you see the things that you know are there, and to like help you get to that point. Yeah,
Always. And I watched a couple of the previous interviews before meeting
yeah,
with you today, and I was really impressed to hear that many people pointed that out, like the collaborative environment that we have here that was really supportive. And I definitely utilize that as well. Just because I'm the founder doesn't mean I'm walking solo. I use everybody's expertise every day.
yeah. I mean, I remember in Blue Zone, we started for your last piece. We started rehearsals with like a set of questions that we were talking about in terms of like purpose, because that was the theme of the piece. So I know that, yeah, the collaborative nature and the conversational nature of the way that we produce work is really core to what we do at CKDC.
Yeah.
How has the pandemic shifted how you think about human disturbance, both in terms of the concert that we were producing and human disturbance in general?
So, like, from a business perspective, it's not that in like a real context we were at all being progressive and like shedding light on these known situations that a good percentage of citizens have long since known about. But I still felt like there was something like really appropriately timed about this concert, and that in a way we were being progressive. Of course, but people listening in might not know that CKDC had a goal to go zero waste in 2020. So, like a big culture shift here. And we often like to time our concert themes with things that are real for us and true for us as artists in this place. Um, but then when the pandemic hit, I was like, God, this is not progressive. Like, we're so behind in delivering this message. Like, we're so not in the place that I thought that we were. And again, I mean, these are environmental issues that have been going on for decades and decades. And it's not that I really thought we were progressive in shedding light on them, but maybe in being a leader and setting an example that hopefully other people in our neighborhood, in our region, and our country could follow. And I just feel like, we should have done this last year. Um, but then again, as others have commented, it's also just so, I think you said a coincidence. Did you say that? Or somebody said, anyway, it's just happenstance, but it really aligns with human disturbance. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Sonia and I talked about, it's not quite irony, but it's like, of course it would be canceled by a human disturbance,
Right.
or not canceled, postponed, and like affected directly by a human disturbance.
Yeah, and it's so hard to reschedule the concert too. We've gone through many different versions of when and how we can present this work, and how the casts will shift, and that's been a challenge. Probably our biggest challenge, just not knowing and being able to put pen to paper and say, this is our season now, everyone. This is what we're doing. And then of course there's the fear of the virus coming back for a second spike, and then would that knock out our fall season? Like, do we not have a voice this year? And as artists, it's really challenging.
For sure. Yeah, and it's really, heartbreaking in a lot of ways. And also, I'm thinking about it from an adaptivity standpoint of like thinking about, I think this is really challenging us to adapt to changing circumstances, things that are really uncertain and in flux all of the time. And I think it's been really, really good to see like us as an organization really grapple with these questions and figure out how to best share our work in new ways, and also think about trying to straddle that, like, you know, how do we face the current reality and also think about the future without doing too much of one or the other. It's really tricky. Yeah. What does your relationship to dance and movement look like in these times?
I have a morning movement practice that I do that just helps me stay mobile and flexible, if you will. It's not a stretch exercise, it's just a phrase, and it's a lot of movement that I've taken from modern dance training. You can find it on our Patreon page. I shared it one day. I just thought it's a really good complement to like this, like being in front of the computer for some of us more than often.
Mm-hmm.
And I already struggle with carrying all my stress here in my shoulders. So that little bit of extra encouragement to like hunch over and lean forward is like all I need to knock everything out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
The youth and I, of course, our youth program is still going on like this via Zoom classrooms. And our students and I realized pretty immediately, I would say maybe 1 or 2 weeks in to virtual classes, that the true benefit of our sprung Marley, like our sprung floor really protects our bodies and our joints. And so trying to do the same lesson plans here, even though I have a nice hardwood floor, hasn't been so kind on my joints, and the students reported feeling the same way. So not a lot of jumping being practiced during these times, and we're modifying. And I'm certainly not dancing as much as I would like to. And like another one of the artists that you interviewed, I think my major practice right now is just improvisation. And I know you've been getting out and improvising a lot. I love seeing your videos. And you just have to have that like physical conversation with yourself about everything.
Yeah, improv is like saving my everything right now, and I've really seen the way that my body or the different ways that my body moves now. I think in response to fear, in response to complexity, to uncertainty, to overwhelm, to trauma, to grief, all of this, and also to joy and like holding all of that together. But for sure, like that free movement has been really important.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that you are still moving, and I know you had that morning mobility routine on Patreon. I checked that out. It's cool.
Yay.
Yeah. Why do you dance, Erika?
Nothing happens unless something moves. Like everything is movement. And again, I haven't been able to watch all the interviews. I know on the last one, and someone else was like, because dance is life and life is dance. And that really resonates with me. And I know sometimes in dark corners of cast after parties when we're gathering, like we've often tossed around this idea of like, it's so sad to think that some people go through their life without experiencing this, like movement as a healing practice, and or even as an art form. I was really late to the game in learning that dance was an art form. And so I know some people live in these spaces where they don't get exposed to this. But to me, like, even if I had another full-time career, which many of our artists in this company do, I can never let go of dance, because dance is wholly a part of who I am. And it's, I think, what connects everybody. It's the original language. We started speaking to each other through body language and movement, and how can anyone argue that? But to be able to surrender and be vulnerable and explore that, because I think a lot of people aren't in a good place or not ready or encouraged to take that step, is really life-changing, and it's so intrinsic.
Yeah. What advice, and we're wrapping up here, but like what advice or thoughts do you have for folks who feel like, oh, I can't dance, or I'm not a dancer?
So It's funny because in our youth classes, when they're little, we're like, well, if you're not putting any effort into this move, like, what is that? That's not dancing. That's nothing. Make sure you're engaging this and doing that and da-di-da. And then just a couple years later, they're in professional development and they're in improv and they're in junior company. And we're like, everything that's movement is dance. This is pedestrian. like getting them to be athletes first and then recognize that like truly everything is movement. The way people walk on the streets, their gait, that's dance. Like every single thing is dance. And every single person can dance. And whether or not you think that the way that you dance is good or beautiful or worthy, that's the conversation that you have from within, and other people might see your movement very differently. So I understand some people might never try dance, but if you're feeling like gravitating towards it and you're feeling an affinity for it, you should definitely explore it. We've had many clients come through our doors with no dance training, just a desire, very apprehensive, went through ups and downs in the beginning, and now they're some of our biggest community supporters, some of our regular clients, we call them. They spearhead initiatives here that we didn't even think of. So we're a family, and everyone can dance, and everyone should dance because it's so good for your soul.
For sure. Yeah, what you just shared reminds me a lot of, I think it was with, maybe with Arica we were talking about like, yeah, it's like about redefining, everybody has movement and dance we all have movement and dance in us. And it's in part about redefining what we as a society like think of as dance or value as dance, and really like unlearning or undoing some of the really complex shame and different factors that we have around our bodies and the way we move and the way we take up space. So yeah, I echo what you said though about just like getting started and just doing it and trying it. Yeah, cool.
As Merce Cunningham said, the only way to do it is to do it. And that applies to everything in life.
For real. Yeah. And like right now, it's like, well, we can take dance classes online with CKDC or wherever through Patreon and try at home and not have to worry about what other people think. And there's also, there's the sadness of not being able to take classes with other people. And also for some people that works really well. So yeah. Where or how else can people connect with you if they'd like to learn more about you or talk to you more?
So I do have a website. It's www.arica.info, ARICA. And I'm fairly active on my Instagram. It's Arica CKDC, ARICA CKDC. But because I do manage all of CKDC's social media outlets, that's where I spend the majority of my time. So you can always connect with me and some of the other artists there. I'm really responsive to Facebook Messenger, not so much Instagram messaging, but I'll comment back at you.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for your time. It was a pleasure, joy. So good to chat and connect with you and have this conversation and to be able to share this with our community. So thanks so much.
Yeah, happy
Happy Human Disturbance weekend.
I know, it's almost over.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll get this work on stage sometime. And I look forward to seeing yours as well. Thanks for posting the behind the scenes on Instagram. That was great.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to be able to share that too. And it'll look different, as you said, like new cast members or just new iterations, and it'll mean something else in response to what we're going through collectively. So we'll see how it unfolds. All right. Thanks, Arica.
Thank you.